All right, class. So we're working on our bookends. And once you have your bookends extruded, I'm going to turn off my sketches here. Once you have your bookend pieces extruded, the part that is often tricky is how do you get these nice extruded pieces into our TorchMate CAD so we can create toolpaths and send this out to the CNC plasma machine. So at this point, what we're going to do is create a drawing specifically for this purpose. Remember to create drawings, we go down here to the bottom left and we look for insert a new element. We'll go ahead and click there. And I want to hit create drawing. In this case, I want the largest size I can get. So I want a D size and I'll use inches. If you don't see it here, you might have to go to ANSI and hit show OnShape drawing templates to see everything. If you haven't used it before, it kind of shows you the top picks. So you have to hit show drawing templates. Let me show you that one more time. So plus sign, create drawing, show drawing templates here. If you click there, you'll see everything. We want ANSI size D in inches. We'll go ahead and hit OK. That'll create a new drawing here. Before I add any parts to this, usually I would start adding parts here. I'm going to close this window. I'm also going to close the insert view thing. I'm going to zoom out a little bit here, and I'm going to delete all of the title block here. Because I'm creating this export for your robots, I don't need title blocks or anything like that. I'm going to delete that here. I'm going to rename this drawing as well so I can know what it's going to be. This is our DXF export to TorchMate. And I can say TM or TorchMate. I'm going to put that there. So this is my DXF export. So I'm going to now add those parts in there so I can export it to TorchMate. So I'm going to go to insert view. I'm going to grab the insert tab here to select what I want to put in here. I'll go to my parts studio and I'll look for the pieces that I want to put in here. I want Batman for sure. Now this is really important. Make sure you get your view scale right. We want it to be 1:1. Otherwise, when you bring it in, it's going to be the wrong size. So let's make the view scale 1:1. That's really important for this. In this case, I have a front view. That's what I want. I might need to select a different view if I get like a side view or something like that. Make sure you get one where you see the cuts that you want to make. So in this case, I've got front selected and that's what I want. I'll click once to place it. And it'll go to a different view menu. I want to go back to insert view again. Let's get the other part that I want. So I'm going to go back to the drop down here, grab insert, go back to my part studio, and now I'm going to grab Iron Man middle. That's the other piece that I want to cut on the plasma cutter. You see now it's 1:1, so double check that. If it's not 1:1, go ahead and change it. Now in this case, I know that I want these two L's to kind of match up, so I take up, waste as little material as possible. So at this point, I need to rotate this view a little bit. So I can do that by right-clicking. In this, I can go to View Properties. I want to change that rotation angle to 90 degrees because I'm rotating it a quarter turn, right? I have to hit Enter before it does that. Hit Enter on my keyboard and that'll do that. Now it rotated the wrong way. I could add a 180 to this rotation, or I could just hit this little button there and that'll rotate it in the other direction. So I'll go ahead and do that. When I'm happy with the rotation, I'll hit the green checkbox again to accept. And now I can move these a little bit closer. And now I've got this aligned here, so I'm wasting as little material as possible. And I am ready for this. So at this point, I've got everything in here. I would want to make sure that I have everything kind of set up and I'm happy with the dimensions, make sure that this is all okay. And now I'll do the export part. If I'm happy with what's on the screen here, I don't have anything that I'm missing, I'll go ahead and do the export. So to export this, instead of going up here to printing, right? Remember printing would create a PDF. I want to come over here to the tab at the bottom and right click and hit export. Now there's a lot of options here. You may not see, it might default to PDF. In the format, we want to bring that drop down to DXF. And there's some other options here. You can leave most of these alone. Some students like to do this export splines as polylines. I don't find that makes a huge difference, but go ahead and check it. not a bad idea. In your options, you can hit download, store in a new file, or store file in a new tab. You kind of have options here. I like to do download and store file in a new tab. So this will create a DXF that sits in this document. It will also let you download it directly so you can put it into directly into Torchmate. So I'll hit export. It'll do a little processing here. And then it'll ask me where I want to save. I'm going to bring this down a little bit. I'm going to put this in my desktop. And I'll put my name on it too. So I remember it's my export. And once I'm happy with that, make sure I've got the DXF name here. I'll go ahead and hit save. And now I've got the first step done.
Can you
All right, class. So the next step is in Torchmate. So go ahead and get Torchmate open. If you have something on your screen already, you can come down to File, New, and create a new document. Make sure you save whatever you were working on. The first thing I'm going to do before I get too far into this is set up my material for my new cut. Now for this assignment, material size, we're going to make this a 10 by 10 inch material. And you can set the bottom left, make sure that that is selected here, and I'm going to hit OK. Now there's my 10 by 10 inch square. I'm going to import my DXF. So go to File, drop down to Import, and we'll look for that DXF that I just created. And here it is, DXF export to Torchmate TM Albert. I'm going to select that. For this, I usually turn off thick line. You want to leave that merge on. If you had something that you wanted to create a brand new document, you can import and create a brand new document this way if you turn merge off. But this is how you add it to an existing document. So I usually leave that on unless I want to create a brand new document. And I'll hit import over here. And then this little L, kind of upside down L, will show up. That's going to show me where my top left corner is going to be. So I'll place that somewhere over here. And I'll get these import options. Now this is something where you want to take a little bit of time before you move forward. Here's some things that I want to change. First of all, I like to use polygons. I have a little bit more control. If you want to change those straight lines into curved lines, it's really easy to do in polygons. The other thing I want to make sure is if I was working in inches, which this is what we're doing in Torchmate, make sure you're working in inches. Change that to inches if it doesn't say so already. Otherwise, the scale will come out wrong and it will say millimeters instead. The fun thing about DXF is it doesn't save units, so be careful about that. The other thing I want to do is look at this gap tolerance. When you import something into Torchmate, it will try to figure out where are the gaps, which points are connected, which lines are connected, and this is how it does it. These are usually fine, but you might want to change these. It might be very large. I usually make these a little bit larger than what they put down, but we'll run with these for now and we'll see how this comes out. Everything else can stay about the same. So make sure you have polygons, inches if you were working in inches, which I think you should be for this one. Go ahead and hit OK. And you'll notice when I bring this in, even though I have show fill selected, these things are not closed. Curses, I did something wrong. No, it's fine. I'll show you how to fix this. Now, if I select anything, you'll see that I have a lot of lines that aren't connected, which is a little frustrating. So here's how you fix it. I'm going to start selecting what I want. So I'm going to select just the bat, and I can hold down Shift here and Shift click to select everything that's related to my bat. Oh, look, I got something that I don't want. I'll Shift click there to unselect it. All right, I've got just that selected. I'm going to go to Arrange, and instead of doing Make Path, I want to do Connect Path. Connect Path says, hey, take a look at these things and see if they're connected. Are there nodes right next to each other? Close that gap. So I'm going to hit Connect Path, and the allowable error on this is always way, way too small. unless you've done this before. So I'm going to up this to 0.01. 0.01, because I want if there's a little bit of a gap, I want it to ignore that gap. So I'll hit that 0.01 and hit OK. And you'll notice when it does that, it recalculates this and now makes this all one piece. If I turn off show fill, I can double click on this and you can see if I click on any of these nodes and hold down tab, it will go all the way around like that. And come on right back. The only thing that's not part of that is the separate shape over here, right? This inside triangle, as it were. All right. Let's take a look at Iron Man now. Let's try that same process. So I'm going to grab, let's turn off show fill for a while. I'm going to grab as much of Iron Man as I can here. Then I'm going to hold down shift and keep selecting things. Now I've got all of Iron Man selected. I'm going to do arrange connect path, change that allowable error to 0.01 again. So this is pretty small. See if that fixes it. Let's do view show fill and double check. Looks like I still have some gaps, so I might have to do some manual editing here just to see where this is going wrong. So at this point, I like to select one of my, double click to get into my node tool. And if I select one of my entities here and hold down tab, I can kind of hold it down until I get to a stop. And here's where we're falling off here. So these two things are not connected correctly. So I can select both of these nodes and I can right click and merge them. Do the same thing here. Anywhere you see an arrow is where it's a disconnect. And now I can hold down tab and I can go around. Looks like this is going around the full thing now. So that's kind of the backup plan. If it's not merging, if you tried that connect tool and it's still not working, you can double click on this, figure out where it's stopping. Here's the end of my thing. I'm holding down tab and it should be going to the next node, but that's the end of the line. Select both nodes there. And if you zoom in, you'll see that these are right on top of each other, and hit right click and select join. You can do the same thing here. I can see that arrow means that it's not closed. Hold down tab and it should go all the way through, and hit apply. Depending on how you imported this, you may have more or less trouble with this import step. It seems to be image by image thing. And sometimes when you bring something in from another program, you're going to have to do a little bit of editing here. At this point, you could do some fine tuning, right? If I've decided I don't like some of these nodes, I can delete extra nodes at this point. And clean up your final design and then get this thing ready to cut. Add any extra bridges that you want. Sometimes it's a little easier to add bridges here in Torchmate since we know how it works really well with bridges using those weld tools. But this is almost ready to cut. All you got to do is add your toolpaths.